Welcome back for another video. A small red arrow last game week after a couple of daft transfers, 52 points, small red arrow to 30k. I was thinking back over these transfers. It was Ekatike's, Salah and Tavernier that came in to just basically target those fantastic fixtures. But I do think some impatience crept in there. On the one hand, the upside was absolutely massive if the Liverpool guys were starting home to Spurs with like 13 players out. And I was personally expecting Slot not to risk it from the get-go and start them, basically get the goals and then take them off. But yeah, they paid the price with both of them benched, and yeah, a really disappointing draw for Liverpool. However, they were always going to be a minute's risk, weren't they, with the next three, if not last game being the Gameweek 31. So, admittedly, I think a poor transfer, and perhaps that's hindsight speaking a bit. Tavernier was a great pick, and he did put up good numbers again. He hit the post, and he finished just one short of getting DEFCON points, no goal involvements. What certainly was a positive in my case was Rice and Haaland both benching, who were both sold. And if there's any positive from the Liverpool duos getting benched, then I guess it would be that they've got a strong chance of a start in Gameweek 31 as well, where every player is going to be needed without a chip. I risked the O'Reilly start, and he was back in midfield as well, but unfortunately just a 2-pointer there, with Anderson keeping a clean sheet on the bench. The game week finished on a high though, for sure, with Dango linking up with Thiago for one of Brentford's goals. Dango had a great game and he earned himself 3 bonus points despite just the assist. Let's do the community roundup with a look at how you guys got on. Brennan says 75 points all out to take me from 62k to 29k. Congrats on a huge week. You've overtaken me by I think 1 point there as well. Is there anything better than a massive game week like that where you more than halve your rank? FPL No Idea went the opposite way and says 31 points, only Hill and Thiago returning. And further to that says 25 points on my bench with Dubravka, Enzo, Rodon and Chal there, who all but Enzo returned. Argus went against the crowd of captaincy and nailed it. He says Zoboslai captain paid off, only 0.2%, and the top 1 million did the same. And I was on track for my best Gameweek rank of the season until Liverpool conceded. Zobo and Virgil both lost a clean sheet and 1 bonus. But with how fluky Zobo's goal was in the first place, I can't really complain. Fair play though, like you literally captained the best possible player in your team with Bruno's 10 points vice captain. Last one, Elder used his triple captain on Salah and basically everyone blanked as well, 35 points all out. Elder says triple captain Salah wasn't bad enough, but they didn't even give me the 3 points. I think that's just a weird bug in the app there. It's not even showing his 3 points for Salah, he's stuck on 1. Thanks for the submissions everyone. Let's get onto the team for Gameweek 31 and the plans this week. It's a rare start for Dubravka. The last time that I played him was Gameweek 2 when he kept a clean sheet home to Sunderland. He's been a fantastic backup keeper to have. It's always lucky when we get a 4-mil starting keeper. Like there wasn't meant to be any this season, and then Trafford went to City and Dubravka went from Newcastle to Burnley. Make no mistake though, the expectations are pretty low for this one. I think he likely concedes. Hopefully lots of save points, that could be the best bet. In defence, it's Anderson, Mukiele and Van Dijk. Big relief for Anderson to have returned to Fulham's 11 last match, and further to that keeping a clean sheet. Some are speculating that he might lose his spot, and perhaps if Forest had battered them or he'd made a big mistake that could have happened, but he's in and I'm glad to have him. Obviously the perfect outcome would be a 0-0 in that fixture, but I'd be a bit surprised. Mukiele's missed 3 league games now. He's been absolutely fantastic all season. I think he's really gone under the radar as one of the best signings. And I'm waiting to see what Lebris says about a potential return this week for the derby. The latest quote was last week's press conference where he said, Mukiele is getting better, we'll see for next week. It's always the same, you could take the risk, he might play against Newcastle, but if we lose him for 8 weeks after, it doesn't make sense. We're always on the edge, so we'll try and manage the situation properly. He also said he expects him to return to training this week, so let's see. It might be too early to risk him. The clean sheet odds have got Fulham top this week, 42% chance, then Newcastle 40%, and then further down we've got Villa in 3rd and Chelsea actually on 29%, and then it's Spurs, then it's Leeds, then it's Liverpool. Only 24% chance given for Van Dijk's fixture, he's playing away against Brighton. It's quite surprisingly low. It's going to be a low scoring game week, that's for sure. Just got to hope the players that we put out deliver. So in midfield it's Mbumo, Tavernier, Bruno, Dango and Salah. Bruno, the obvious captain for me this week. 176 points this season. He's on track for a 228 point season at current pace. I wouldn't be surprised if he can surpass that. There is a definite edge in not having to play 3 times a week, which is obviously the case for Man United, and he's definitely staying in my team on the Gameweek 32 wildcard, even with no doubles. He's just a complete midfielder. Maybe he ends up being player of the season. Like, do you remember he was doing a job playing deeper in centre mid early in the season? He was ranking in the top 10 midfielders for defensive contributions per 90 at the time, and that was alongside pure defensive mids that weren't getting goal involvements, and he was still getting them. And Defcons have obviously disappeared now, playing that advanced role, but the goal involvements have gone up. Been quite disappointed with Mbeumo on the other hand. 3 blanks in a row now. Could be his last time in my team this season. Bournemouth away actually not an easy fixture. For context, Arsenal have conceded 9.7 expected goals in home games this season. Bournemouth aren't far behind that in second place with 11.6 XG conceded in home fixtures. It's away games really where the Cherries have been very vulnerable. Tavernier's enjoying his joint best goal scoring season ever. He's got 5 league goals, so he's already matched his most in the season, and he's still got 8 games to play still. The plan is definitely to keep hold of Salah despite the bench in last game week. Slot did bench him a few times early in the season, didn't he? And that led to that massive fallout. And as poor as he's been relative to his previous highs in past seasons, I still think he's in Liverpool's best 11. They're still, in my eyes, worse without him than with him, but Frimpong does seem to be his main competition and getting more minutes in right wing. I'm expecting Frimpong in right back in the Champions League with Salah and Ekitike both back in the starting 11, which might also benefit Salah's minutes for Gameweek 31. A 90-minute game would go a long way. And then it's Thiago and Ekitike up front, so double Brentford attack. We've got Dango and Thiago playing against Leeds away. They've conceded 20 goals in home games, Leeds, which ranks 6th worst in the league, but they're actually 6th best for expected goals conceded. I've got 3 lots of attacking double-ups this week. It's double Man United against Bournemouth, it's double Brentford against Leeds, and then it's double Liverpool against Brighton. On reflection, another reason that rolling would have been better last week wasn't just the extra points they ended up would have scoring, but it would have left that room to potentially do Rice to Wilson, who feels like the one player that I'd love to have in the starting 11 here. But it just all boils down to what we see from Salah, doesn't it? I can't believe it's Salah versus Wilson, and it feels like it's a close one. Maybe Salah's worse even. As far as projections or projected goals, Fulham and Newcastle are joint top on the latest bookies odds of 1.9 goals. And then it's Man United and Villa with 1.8, Liverpool 1.7, not far behind. And then it's Chelsea, Bournemouth, Leeds and Brighton. All the bookies, odds and projections that I use in my content is from FPL.page. Check it out for the helpful tools we've got there. And those will help you with your decision making every week. Anyway, let's move on to the transfer plans. So it's no bench this week. It's Raya, Gabriel, Mane and O'Reilly on the bench and they all blank. So it comes down to Mukiele's availability basically. If he's fine, then I'm going to give him the start against Newcastle. Obviously low expectations in a fixture like that. The clean sheet odds are bad, but if he's fit then it's just a question of whether buying Tete and hope for a Fulham clean sheet is better or just play Mukiele and take the probable 1 or 2 pointer. I would rather bank the transfer and just hope to get more off it later in the season, so the plan is to roll. If Mukiele's out, then I'm looking to sell him for Tete and hope for that Fulham clean sheet against Burnley. I quite like Hall and Chow as well. As the clean sheet odds earlier were showing, they've got a strong chance as well for the derby, but it is a derby and they always have that level of unpredictability to them, and Newcastle obviously would have played as well against Barcelona midweek, which I don't like, so it's Tete or roll in a nutshell. Here's what the current projected team of the week looks like from FPL.page. So it's Ramsdale, Anderson, Hall, Tete, Bruno captain, Gordon, Salah, Palmer, Wilson, Bowen and Thiago. Let me know if you'd like me to include these as a quick segment in each team selection video. It's quite interesting to sort of benchmark your team against the quote-unquote best possible team based on FPL review projections. Sometimes players just leap out that you think, I hadn't even thought about them this week. And this week I've only got 4 players from the team. Gordon's another one actually I should have mentioned when I was talking about Wilson. Hal said the other day, while it hasn't been a straightforward season, Gordon has adapted to a different role, striker, really well. So if you combine that with Gordon also being on pens, I think he's a really strong pick, but obviously there's the lower potential minutes there, could come off early. That does depend on what Hal does in that Barcelona game. We might see Gordon striker for that one, and then he goes left wing against Sunderland, so maybe Visser or Voltemada back in striker for that one. Still a strong pick though regardless, especially if you want a differential opposed to Wilson, who look equally good in terms of projected points. Gameweek 32, the plan is to wildcard as it stands, which is dependent on the FA Cup results, but I would say I'm very likely to pull the trigger. So make sure you subscribe for a wildcard special That run from Gameweek 32 to 34 could be season defining, as it would be a wild card, and then immediately a bench boost, and then immediately a free hit. So 3 chips, 3 weeks in a row. Thanks for watching. See you soon for the next one.